And we're back with another episode of Zaz is the only good thing in this game, and I'm your host, the RPG guy. Oh, I mean Final Fantasy XIII, I'm sorry. Are there other elements of it that are good? It's completely subjective when it comes to... But I will say that it is not the end-all of good writing, that's for sure. Change it up here because we're getting the beat down on lightning here. And that's all you got to do is transition that way. Look at, and you see how that worked so well. And boom goes the dynamite. And to be fair, I think we have enough to finish Fang's Cristidium, whatever the fuck it's... The frickin' thing! So let's do that. We should have enough. She was on the last thing, right? Yeah. Oh my god, you're fucking kidding me. What are we missing it by? 75. Okay, one more battle. One more battle. Ah, never a break. Never a break. It is a turning of the time. Inside to the metal whale beast butthole we go. I'd say this is a neat little window washer, but I see there's a lack of windows. Alright, up we go. Hey, treasure. Ooh, digital circuits. And actually, I wanted to check really quick. Yeah, and see, her attack is on par still with Fang's. So that's why we went with that. It brought her attack down a bit, but Fang is still hitting really hard. So there's no reason not to keep using, to use the weapon we're currently using. Anything that speeds that ATB bar along is great. Graphical glitches, you say?
We'll find another route.
Dude.
See that?
Let's go.
You might notice I'm not using snow, because to be fair, between the two, Fang is probably, not always, but I would argue on average a little better, depending on the situation. The only negative is that she doesn't have access to a summon, but as long as one character has a summon in the party, it doesn't, an Eidolon, whatever, it doesn't really matter too much. And more palette swaps, oh boy, and this time there's unabashedly, there it is. I mean, this is the second or third incarnation of this enemy we've seen. And I know it's the second of the flying jetpack wearing dudes. Let's heal ourselves a wee bit here, shall we? Then we'll get back to the killing. So even when attempting to stagger, their ability to do it is still good, because we have one person always on commander who's maintaining the stagger ratio. And then once the enemy is staggered, it hits like a truck. And with Lightning's magic and physical attack being pretty close together, it doesn't matter what she does. So she's more well-rounded than anything else. Okay, let's do this. even though we're not using Sentinel. But we probably will on enemies with much bigger, harder hitting enemies. So yeah, just so you guys know, this dungeon makes me uncomfortable because I have acrophobia. I'm a little acrophobic. I know that this is not a real ship that I'm on, but boy does it sure as hell feel like it. And actually, what we should do is Libra them. So that way we can use, like, AoE stuff, but I don't know if it really matters all that much. And you can see it's any type of attack she does, because she's getting it even with this attack. And again, like I said, there's probably people who've played this game way more than I have, who have better loadout strats than I do. Okay, I will admit to that up front. And because Lightning is in the lead, we need to give her the doctor's thing. I need to remind myself to do that before we get too far in this dungeon. If we need to start flinging potions, we need to be ready for that. And the battle is won. And look at that battle, took as long as it meant to. Fang has the doctor's code. There we go.
Got ships parked here. Maybe we can use them.
We can't open that because there are enemies here. But somehow they're supposed to attack us. And he's all by his lonesome, which means it is a good old-fashioned ass whooping. Psycom Dragoon. It's the worst use of a Dragoon ever in Final Fantasy lore.
Hardly worth the effort.
Now, I see something mildly troubling. And that troubling thing that I see is we missed a chest somehow. So let me go back and get it, guys. You can probably... We saw it from up there. I can't believe I missed that. I could have sworn we grabbed it. But I guess not? Or was that not there when we appeared? Which is very possible, but... chances are I just missed it. I'm willing to admit I probably just missed it entirely. Which means I'm going to have to repeat some battles on accident. Now you might say, look at all that grinding you did, whereas you could grind here, maybe, and have gotten more XP. That's true. That's a fair argument. But then you wouldn't have had it for Zaz and Vanille. The other argument, too, is we're going to have this for this stuff, all the XP we're getting here for this one run will help us when the next, and probably the last big grinding moment, unless we're really having trouble getting CP, the next big grinding moment is. So it's not something I'm ultimately that worried about. And remember, we're not getting that much more, though we are getting through the battles a little easier, but that's debatable. We got another Millerite. Or Miller Lite. Yeah, we got another Miller Lite. I'm going to drink a shitty beer. And for those of you wondering, if you like Miller Lite, good for you. I make my own beer, so. I worked in a brewery. I learned a certain set of skills. As you can see, the enemies aren't respawning, so that's probably not a good statement to grind here. At least not yet. There are two dudes that we can pretty much run over. Again, mainly, and again, you could argue the Crystarium grinding that we did, or CP point grinding we did earlier, might contribute to that. Get him. And he's down. They're just standing there. Probably could have avoided this altogether, but oh well. We're gonna fight it anyway. Die. And the other element too is there's no way Fang will ever catch up because of the way that it looks like they designed the game, where characters don't have the same amounts of CP expenditure to get a new stat upgrade. So that's something to keep in mind, that you can't even out characters leveling wise in this game, even if you wanted to. I don't think we got the drop. That's fine. Ooh, it's a big group of them too. Do 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 do. You should think about a heal or a potion. Ow. Get that thing killed off quick. You can start staggering this one. There's a stagger. And the battle is won. Getting a lot of incentive chips. So I guess if you could grind this area, which I don't think you can, you would do it for the money. But it doesn't seem like you're gonna get that option or opportunity. Seems like we can jump here though. Yeah. Treasure. 4 glasses. That. Nice. Any other deals? I don't see any. There we go, there's our stagger.
Let's keep this up.
We came from that way. Like, the only way we were going to sneak up on any of these enemies would be to do something completely separate. Like, to use one of those items. And if we actually die here or have trouble getting through this fight, you may want to use a sneak ability. Or, like, one of the pre-battle items. You could. Would it ultimately help you? Probably not, but you could try it. I mean, we're managing pretty good as is. They can stagger enemies on their own pretty much too, so it's like we do a pretty good job. Because they'll eventually get a stagger on their own. Go back to this so we can move this along here. Okay. Dokie. I should see how many we have too, but I don't think we have that much.
Sass.
See, and then the reveal here that he's still there is more interesting.
Enough is enough.
Nugget! Nugget. Best character in game. Nugget.
Why can't I do it? I got no reason to keep living. I can't even kill you. Freeze! Take him!
Guns magically disappeared from the ground. Boobarella's coming with her toy.
You should be proud.
What did you say, Quistis? Oh, I mean, you,
Your son's a hero.
Nabat.
The boy who saved Cocoon. We'll erect a memorial in Eden and put his crystal on display.
A memorial? He's a little boy!
As the son of a pulseless sea, he would have lived in shame and misery. Isn't it better he be treated with reverence as a monument to sacrifice?
He wants to tear that bitch apart.
The next time your eyes open will be the last.
Your tie is stupid. It's either too small or it's lost between your cleavage. Hi, did you hear me? Oh, he passed out. I didn't time that very well, I know.
That's my life. I'm the one who lied to everyone.
Forget it. You can't change what's done.
But if I just told the truth.
Now. I've been thinking. You woke up from being a crystal once. Well, that means Dodge will wake up one day too, right? What was it like? I mean, how did it happen? You were done with your focus, right?
I was chosen. I was made into a lassie to fight against Cocoon. It happened back on Grand Pulse, hundreds of years ago. We finished our focus, and we fell into a long crystal sleep.
The more you know. What was this? Naked time! And it gives you free clothing.
Bang! We woke up on Cocoon to the start of a new focus. Bang! She'd forgotten everything. And for me, just the thought of hurting people again. It was too much. So I lied.
So she leveled up her
I
focus.
played dumb. Said I'd lost my memory. I wanted to escape my fate.
This is a really bad story element, guys. Please stop using this.
And
Please.
ever since then, I've been running away from it.
The idea that somebody actually knows what's going on and says nothing the entire time. Please stop. It's a shitty story element, and it really only works in espionage stories exclusively, with a few exceptions. It does not work here. It did not work in Final Fantasy X-2. It does not work in most other stories. Stop doing it.
Your memory. Those soldiers think they're protecting Cocoon from the sea. The Foul Sea have them all brainwashed.
I have had it. We cannot let this go on.
Attention all crew. Code green. Repeat. Code green. Security forces stand by. Hostile forces on board. Code
Is that really a code green? That would seem more like a code red to me, but what do I know, right? Before we get too far here.
Can't pussyfoot around everything.
So you can see that leads us back outside. I guess you could grind that maybe if they respawn after fighting them again, but we're not going to look to see. We are going to use this delicious save point, though, because we got through a good chunk of story. And you know what? I did not check out the shops. I think it's all just more stuff. Stuff that, you know, increases certain elements like magic. You know, the titanium bangle, which is better than some of the others. Brawler's wristband increases strength by 50. So if you need those things, you know, we could grab this and the wristband and the shaman's mark. And then we're not going to buy anything else. Now, the only reason I bought those is now I have 2 of them. And I have one of each of the other ones. For if I want to convert a character over to some other kind of, you know, ability set. Painkillers, let's get 10 of these. Mallet, get 10 of these. Boom. Could probably use some more Phoenix Downs just in case, but we haven't really had to burn through them yet, so. And here are some big ones that are coming later, I think. We don't need to worry about it yet, because we have some of these. 2 of these you can see we don't. But I'm not gonna. I would tell you not to worry about them at this exact moment. I believe they become more relevant later. As we upgrade weapons and whatnot. But again, we're lacking materials, so. The great gathering of that stuff comes later. Don't worry. Don't worry. We will get to it eventually. Alright. Pop a potion. Big pop a potion, baby. And the battle is won. Let's keep moving. I need to remind myself to check my pre-battle stuff here. We want to go after the Huntress first because she's going to keep buffing herself, and that would be bad. And yeah, the cure looks bad, but once we stagger somebody, we'll be fine. Once we stagger the enemy, it's not going to be an issue. It'll be a non-issue. Why is she not curing Fang? There we go. That was starting to bug me for a minute. Why? Yeah, why is she not... Oh, maybe it's because I'm on auto. I guess it's making me choose. 2 more to go. My concern, by the way, was that the enemy with the buffs would start buffing other enemies. Not that that would be true or not, because like I said, I don't remember what all the enemies do in this game. I've not played it enough, or given enough shits to really care. But you get the idea of what I'm getting at.
No problem.
I just would assume if she can cast it on herself, she could probably cast it on anybody. Alright, so that leads us forward, but it looks like there's going to be a goodie for us at the end of this hallway, maybe? Now, because there's only 2 healers, we'll go for the healers first and see. We'll see what happens. Because if the case is that she only casts it on herself, since there's less enemies here, we'll just focus on them, on the healers. That way we don't have to worry about her getting healed. Now, see, here's the problem, is these fuckers can guard, though we can break guards, but still. I have no double commando, do I? That's okay. We're probably not going to need double commando anyway. Until much later. You know, I do think we might need it sooner. Just looking at the damage she does with her magic, it's still not as good as her attack. To a degree. We need that. We don't need Delta attack, because that just seems counterintuitive. The reason being is that it's like, yeah, she'll provoke all the enemies to attack her, but she won't get any healing, so what's the point? Excuse me. So that's really weird that it took us out that way. It is strange. So you could argue here's an interesting grinding place. We're gonna dodge those fights. Reason being is that you could just go through that door, fight and grind that way. But we already did our grinding for the time being, so I'm not gonna bother with it. We get the life saber. I don't remember being that good. And I'll be honest with you, that might have been the better grinding spot, but I'm not gonna worry about it. Let's keep moving here. You also have to remember we'd be a lot weaker in this fight, so it might be harder to kill a lot of these enemies. Let's get that infiltrator. And again, it's all subjective. We did our grinding early, so. We'll double check what we get for these fights, but I don't remember it being that much different.
Change of plan. Time for another approach.
Ah, she's by herself. It's not such a big deal. So you notice I dispelled the other one, which we could do to this one too, but it's fine.
Keep the enemy off balance.
Oh shit, that's not what I wanted to do.
Change of plan. Thanks. Keep the enemy off balance. Just another battle.
And that actually could be a strategy you could use to take them down legit, too. Constantly freaking debuff them. Then work on them. We'll need to know his weakness. Oh, we got a preemptive. Nice. No, you know what? We should. There we go. We'll stop using fire. There, now we're doing a bit more damage. And that's why the Libra is kind of important to use on regular enemies. Your character, unless you know the weaknesses because you looked at a guide, or you just assume it's a robot, use water or lightning, one of the two should work. But I find no shame on a stronger enemy like this to use Libra. That's what it's there for. And if you're, if you don't want to go below 3 TP, you're welcome to also use the Libra scope. I believe also does the same thing. We're stockpiling them because there's going to be a time when we're probably going to need them. So, same with a lot of our items that allow us to get to jump on and drop on enemies. You notice I have been reluctant to use them. There will be a time and a place to use them. And we'll worry about it all when we get to that point. Look at that delicious CP build that we're just sitting on. Ember Ring.
Exciting, isn't it?
Now, would it make it easier for us to get through some of the harder fights in the dungeons? Yeah. But I don't think we need it. Let's get that Raider. And now the fool is staggered. Probably start healing. But we're gonna lose this fight. Ah! That's what I get for not paying attention to my health. And that's okay. We'll deal with it. This game doesn't punish you like it should if it wanted to be a decent game. But then again, the battle system is so lame anyway. You're lucky this is all they punish you with, to be fair.
Change of plan. Target to target.
Better heal. Because the enemy, the Tonfa enemies started really focusing on lightning a bit. It didn't create a double cure group either. I'm wondering if I should. So far, I don't think it's an issue, but we'll see if it is later. Alright, let's do this. Get these buffs off these enemies.
Thanks.
I don't care if she has the upgraded attack, it's everything else I care about. Then she becomes hard, the enemy becomes harder to kill. And there it is. I believe we're alright. So one of these. Again, we gotta go after the raiders and take them out before dealing with the Viking, I think it's called. Which again, it's palette swap city, so, you know. You can see why people complained about how the game gets very repetitive and boring in a really bad way, because there's not even scenery. The scenery changes, but not the contents within that scenery that you're dealing with as much as it needs to not get the rap that it deserved. And to be fair, it's not to be fair, but a lot of it is because of the way they wrote the story, that it's people against people, and so the element of monsters is only subtle, if that makes any sense. There's not a lot of use of monsters in this game at the moment because monsters just exist, and it's more about a war between the people. That's kind of an issue that was with Final Fantasy XII, was that the monsters in the world are just part of the element, and the people were the villain, and that can exist. Final Fantasy Tactics, which is part of the world of Final Fantasy XII, which predated Final Fantasy XII, had that in there too, but it didn't kind of run its course like this one does, where the enemy, there's not enough variation of enemies. See, the thing with Final Fantasy Tactics is there's so many different classes of characters that you would run into in Tactics that you get enough variety, and there's more strategy involved. So you forgive the palette swapping or gear swapping, because it's really based on whatever job they were. You forgive it because there's more strategy involved in the game, and that's the kind of game it was trying to be. This game is not trying to be that. So, not a very big depth of strategy. You just keep setting up your paradigms and timing your paradigms until something works. That's really what this is. Now, a little further to go here. Let's make a save. I'm worried this is gonna go long. Let's see here. I think this is gonna be a good place to stop. So I know this is a shorter episode, but it's for a good reason. Because we're gonna get a lot of stuff happening kind of back to back to back to back. And I just want to make sure that we don't run long, because the story's gonna keep going. And we don't have like an hour and a half long episode. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for stopping by. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/XIII for more live gaming action. And when we come back, we get to the biggin, per se. We'll see you guys there.